deliciousness. The macaroni cups earlier, mugs, genius. These, I think, will go down a treat because who doesn't love a brownie? So what's the deal here? What makes these so special?
So essentially these are vegan and they're gluten-free if you're using gluten-free flour, which is amazing. But essentially what we're doing here is we're using this amazing canola oil that's super high in unsaturated fats and obviously packed with a lot of omega-3s. So essentially the fat that we're using in these brownies, which is different from using butter or the conventional unhealthy fats, is contributing to overall health, and we all know how important omegas are for brain boosting energy and for all of those benefits in our diets. And I think it's such a nice way for kids to incorporate delicious food. That's also nutritious and good for us.
Because you reach a point as a parent where you kind of throw in the towel and you realize they also eat with their taste buds. As much as you want them to just snack on a broccoli stalk, they also need to enjoy the food. Okay, so let's get cracking.
Let's get cracking. So the first thing we need to do, this is actually flaxseed powder, which is incredibly loaded with healthy fats. I mean, there's always this notion of talking about healthy fats and unhealthy fats, good and bad fats. Doesn't really exist, but I mean, the unsaturated fats that are good for your low density, or that are lowering low density lipoproteins and increasing high density lipoproteins is really what we want to get in, and this is perfect for that. And then we have coconut cream, which is also loaded with healthy fats. So we're going to put that in here. This is like the blooming process. This is essentially going to give the brownies that nice gooey texture.
So a brownie needs that. It needs that kind of fudgy texture.
Yeah, this is how we are achieving this in this case, because we're not using eggs because these are vegan. So this is going to double as that sort of binding gooey factor. Right, while that's going to bloom for a little bit, we're going to get to the dry ingredients.
Okay.
So what we have here is, I mean, this is gluten-free flour. You can also use all-purpose flour if you don't have this. So we're going to mix.
I mean, we're spoiled for choice now. There's so many good gluten-free flours available now.
That goes in there. There are some beautiful cocoa. This is organic, nice, rich cocoa that goes in there. So we're mixing all the dry ingredients. A teaspoon of baking soda that goes in there. Just a little bit of salt. We usually just say a pinch of salt. You can just eyeball that.
Cool.
Give that a little whisk together. So we've mixed our dry ingredients. And the idea with making any sort of baked goods is you mix your dry ingredients, get the baking soda nice and evenly distributed. And then when we have our wet ingredients ready, we'll whisk that in there. So, I mean, you can see this has kind of come together nicely.
Beautiful.
Bloomed. This is where the magic happens.
Okay.
So here we're adding the fats. So it's half a cup of the oil. That goes in there. This is a quarter cup, so
and I suppose sometimes with a snack, especially with kids that are going through exams and stuff, they need a little bit of an energy kind of spike as well. Sometimes they need something just to give them that little surge, and if it's going to have the brain boosting power of the omegas thrown in, fantastic.
And I think what's super nice about these brownies is they can be kept frozen for like 2 months.
Oh, wow.
So you can make them, you can freeze them, and they defrost beautifully in the lunchbox, so you can put them in frozen, and when they get to school or whatever, they have them. I'm sure all their friends are going to be super jealous as well. Yeah, teaspoon of vanilla essence.
Okay.
It's just a nice way to add flavor. It brings out the flavor of everything else. All right, so we've mixed our wet ingredients. Once you have this little concoction ready,
I think this is a great way of approaching a lot of the classic things that you love, like flapjacks, pancakes, even breads. You've got so many healthy options on the gluten-free side now, the healthy fats, all the additives that you can put in. You can take those kind of family favorites and you can update them.
Absolutely. I mean, and this is just a general method. You can use this for all kinds of baking goods. So this goes into the dry ingredients. Either way, give that a quick whisk. So this is where the magic happens here.
Oh, lovely.
Comes together so nicely.
Dense, because it's always that balance of like, you need a little bit of crisp on the outside, but it needs to have that like gooey density.
Yeah. So that's what we're getting to here. Also, like with baking, obviously it's an exact science, but you gotta play it by ear a little bit. So this
get a feel for it. Yeah.
We're gonna have a nice thick.
I've got a little station set up for me here.
Yeah.
So while you wrap up the finishing touches there, what can I do?
So this is actually the end product. I'm just quickly going to show you. So at the end here, you've got little walnuts that are diced up. You chuck that in there.
Good fats as well.
Beautiful hemp seeds.
Wow.
Very nutritious, add amazing flavor. Get them in there.
So hot right now as well. Yeah. Really popular.
Chopped up dark chocolate that's unsweetened. Get that all into your dough. If I can ask you, this is also canola. What people don't know is often you're adding a lot of fat to your pan. With this, it's healthy fats. You can just spray that so that we don't have any sticking.
There we go.
Cool, and once you've folded this all together nicely, it's a nice, beautiful, dense dough. You'll get that into your tin. Press it down nicely with wet hands. Put it in the oven, 180 degrees, 20 minutes. Comes out beautifully gooey. Once that's cooled, if you want to, I mean, this is for the aesthetic element.
Yeah,
and a little
man.
bit of more flavor. You want to put the icing sugar into the chocolate just to sweeten it a little bit. And this is now your drizzle. So this is going to make them look beautiful. So nice mix up there. Drizzle that over your brownies. Top it with walnuts and a little bit of hemp seeds, and you have a beautiful, healthy snack.
Absolutely beautiful decadent. It's almost like a ganache. Absolutely lovely. You've got texture, you've got crunch, you've got bucket loads of flavor, and of course you have got the healthy addition of our Be Well canola oil, bringing in those healthy omega fats. Dude, you've done it again. You've tricked half of the country into eating healthily. Absolutely love it.
Cool.
And then you can find this recipe on expressoshow.com. Wow.
What a time to be a baby. Why? Because from the 15th to the 19th of November on Expresso, we're giving away 3 Epimax baby and junior hampers worth 2,500 Rand each every day. That's 1,000 Rand's worth of Epimax products plus 1,500 Rand cash in every prize. Oh yes. To enter, reply to the daily competition post on Expresso's Facebook, Twitter or Instagram page. Answer the question and include hashtag the Epimax Life in your answer. Competition closes this Friday, the 19th November 2021. T's and C's on expressoshow.com.
Morning, Mom. Look what we made for breakfast. Pizza. Okay, Mom. I'll see you soon. How many of these are we going to do?
Right.
Right.
Love you, Mom.
I love you guys. The illness insurance I took out is really going to help now.
Old Mutual's illness insurance pays out a single amount of up to 6 million Rand for whatever you and your family might need while you recover.
Sorry, Mom.
Make great financial decisions for you and your family and earn Old Mutual rewards points.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Goeiemôre and welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Expresso, in case you're wondering, live in S3. And we have got some very, very important info for you. Now, here's a stat that's going to shock you, but there are nearly 500 million people living with diabetes worldwide. And that is an incredibly high statistic for preventable disease, if you think about it. And even more worrying fact is that 75% of people with diabetes live in low and middle income countries, meaning that access to insulin and proper treatment still remains a massive challenge for so many.
Yeah, scary thought for South Africa as well, indeed. Now, with World Diabetes Day being marked every year on the 14th of November, we are joined by endocrinologist Dr. Zane Stevens as we learn a bit more about this disease. And of course, you, Mzansi, can also come through. If you have any questions for the doctor, anything at all, come through and head to our Expresso Facebook page right now, where we'd be gladly enough sitting down here to answer all your questions. But without further ado, Doctor, how are you doing this morning?
Good. Thank you very much for having me.
It's good to have you here. Obviously, this is something important, I think, for South Africans as well, something we're not always that aware of. But let's get to the basics. What is diabetes?
So the word diabetes just refers to the fact that your blood sugar is elevated. Now, our blood sugar is normally very well regulated by the hormone called insulin, which comes from the pancreas. And insulin helps us to get the blood sugar into the cells where we're going to be using it for energy.
Yeah.
And the problem is either that you don't have insulin or that there's what we call insulin resistance. That insulin just can't do its job effectively to be able to help you regulate your blood sugar. And if you live with this high blood sugar for many, many years, that affects the function of our cells and leads to the well-known complications of that condition.
Right.
All right, that's the basics. But there's always a complication when somebody chats to you and they say, hey, I am a diabetic. And then they say, no, I'm type 1 or type 2. For those who are not in the know about what these types are about, can you give us a differentiation between type 1 and type 2?
Sure, and many people don't know this.
Yeah.
So the majority of people in the world will be living with so-called type 2 diabetes. And this is the lifestyle-related condition where you may have a genetic predisposition, so many family members may have the condition, and over time, through adopting probably unhealthy lifestyles, and particularly weight gain, you develop this concept of insulin resistance. So those people don't necessarily need insulin, especially at the beginning of their condition.
Yeah.
They need to make lifestyle changes and so on. People with type 1 diabetes, that's a completely different cause of the diabetes. That's an autoimmune condition in general. So there the problem is the pancreas is damaged by the immune system and you can't produce insulin, and these people need insulin therapy from the get-go.
Ah, all right. Me as an individual, how would I actually know that I have diabetes? I mean, are there signs and symptoms that are showcasing, dude, you need to go to the doctor, you need to sort this out? I mean, is there anything like that?
Sure. So this is a big problem, actually, because the majority of people, as I said, live with type 2 diabetes, and you can walk around with a chronically high sugar for many years and be completely oblivious to the diagnosis. So in the beginning, there really aren't symptoms. So the most important thing is to think about the fact, if I'm at risk, I come from a family carrying a bit of extra weight, you want to speak to your doctor about screening for diabetes. It's really once the sugar levels become quite high that you start experiencing the typical symptoms of passing large amounts of urine, drinking a lot, and losing weight. But that's often, very late in the game. In type 1 diabetes, those symptoms occur very early, but for the majority of people, it's often asymptomatic.
Well, now we've got the basics, the foundation. I know that there are many questions that have come through on the Expresso Facebook page. If you have any, we have a part 2 for you as we chat to Dr. Zane Stevens about diabetes for World Diabetes Day. Any questions, go over to the Expresso Facebook page and we'll be happy to answer them.
Well, certainly we would be happy to answer them, but we also know that every Tuesday we bring you Pharmacy of the Week, which is a short feature that really acknowledges the incredible people working on the front line. Now, this is our way to say thank you to these brave healthcare workers.
And this is obviously proudly brought to you by Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave. So let's meet this week's Pharmacy of the Week, the incredible Boertse Pharmacy in the Western Cape.
Our pharmacies are on the front line of healthcare. This is Pharmacy of the Week.
To serve this community as a pharmacist is quite an honor. We are there to guide and to reassure and to dispel myths in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic. Bravery is recognizing the challenges and in making a concerted commitment to work through the challenges despite the difficulties that we face. And I see myself and our staff members, our fellow staff members, being brave in the fact that despite the risks that the COVID-19 pandemic has posed to us and our families, we've made the commitment to serve the very community that we are located in. In the words of the famous Mahatma Gandhi, I believe the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And that's the ethos that we believe in ourselves here in Boetes of Pharmacy. And it's an absolute honor to serve the community around us.
Pharmacy of the Week, proudly brought to you by Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave.
And they are brave. They're out there on the front line every day. But I think over the last 20 months or so during our COVID experience, pharmacies have had to step up so much more, and they've done it for their community. So Boetes family, we see you and we appreciate you.
Yeah, we definitely do appreciate you. And speaking of appreciation, what you're going to hear right now is something that I, Nature Boy, absolutely appreciate. And you do too.
Yes, that's how I'm dancing. So don't you see me dancing? I'm doing my coffee dance right now.
I think we all in the studio can't get enough of these coffees. They rely on Mother Nature to create the delicious fruit. Now, for the last 20 years, Nespresso has been implementing methods to protect and nurture the soils of the farms and the forests that surround them, as well as supporting the local community. I absolutely
love that. And one of the most important of these is the Amazon rainforest. And this year, Nespresso is turning their focus on this precious area. We love it, making a commitment to protecting 10 million trees in the Amazon forest in La Pedrera, Colombia, as well as supporting the communities that call the forest home.
Yes.
Are you happy?
Celebrations!
More happy, celebration!
Now listen, to celebrate these efforts, of course, I'm not just going to be dancing. They've also launched their Forest Variations line of original coffees, and each representing a part of the rainforest. Today, we're tasting the Forest Black Coffee, made from a blend of shade, ground Colombian and Peruvian Arabicas. How good does that sound?
Yes, now the shade of the forest canopy shelters the coffee trees from the direct sunlight and creates a somewhat cooler environment in which the fruit can then mature more slowly, and that slower ripening of the coffee cherry protects the aromas that later develop during roasting and brewing, and then you get this perfect aroma right now. We haven't even pressed the button yet. We're going with the old school machine today. It is pop it on. We are going to be doing an espresso for this. So 40 mils of goodness in a cup gives you a quick wake up. Have you had coffee this morning yet?
I haven't had coffee this morning. I've just been pumped on all the good info coming through, but I think it's long overdue, and especially this flavor here, which I'm looking so forward to. It's got a somewhat of a spicy note to it as well. It's something that I think is not too sweet, but it has sweetness. It's got some cereal notes on it as well, but it's an all-round mild body, bitterness and roasting with slight acidity, which is just perfect for the time of the morning that we need to just get charged, get celebrating.
I know you are celebrating right now, but that smell and the aroma just hit me under my nose, and it just came. There you go.
Well, I think, is this one for me? Huh? I have to make myself one,
There's
I
only one.
guess.
There's only one cup.
Don't worry, I've got another one here.
Do you have a cup for you?
I can grab one
You don't
now,
have a cup,
but
so that's
of course,
fine.
before we get into that, tell me how it tastes.
So we first got to do a smell?
Now that I'm so jealous and I can't grab my own mug.
Mild body, you get that bitterness, you get that fruity aromas from the fruit as well. But this is perfection. I know I need to say that this is not my favorite, but this is probably my favorite one out of the range. Black Forest. It also has a bit of a Christmas feel to it. So yeah, thank you so much. I would offer you, but COVID,
That's
so
all
I'm just
good.
gonna...
I'll get it later, don't worry. I'm celebrating on the side either way.
Nespresso welcomes you to a house filled with delight, blooming with flavor and warmth. This festive season, select the perfect gifts for you and your loved ones. Gifts of the forest. Nespresso, what else?
We are back.
Yes.
Endocrinologist extraordinaire, Dr. Zane Stevens, is still on your couch. And we are unpacking diabetes and our health topic this week. If you have any questions for the doctor, head over to the Expresso Facebook page and we'll be answering your questions shortly. Part 3 is that time. We'll get to all those questions. For now, let's go back to it. Now, we gave you the foundations of diabetes with Dr. Zane Stevens, of course, but now we need to get a little bit further, which is vitally important. Now, the thing is, when somebody is diagnosed, I feel like that's something that you need to really know about and actually understand what will happen. And the thing is, the greatest fear comes from a lack of education, and that's why we're doing this today. So when you're diagnosed, what happens then, doctor?
So I'm going to focus on type 2 diabetes because that's by far the most common.
Yes.
And what you're saying is really true. I think at the time of diagnosis, you've got to realize you could have lost 6 years of your life. That's what the stats show.
Yes.
So we've got to get this right from the beginning. So we've got to think about the important lifestyle changes, specifically weight management, because that's one of the biggest drivers of type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
And then if you need treatment, which most people do, adherence and staying on that medication is so vitally important, and regular follow-up. So one of the mistakes I often see is people say, well, you know, I started on treatment and they saw their doctor a couple of years down the line, and you've missed the opportunity to prevent complications from happening because you didn't realize the condition wasn't optimally controlled. So even if you are doing really well, checking in with your doctor twice a year is what's advised globally, and really people should be doing that to make sure that they do well with this disease.
Now, earlier you mentioned some people that might be prone to type 1 and type 2, depending on the lifestyle, etc. But what exactly makes people more potentially susceptible to diabetes or more vulnerable to it, let's say that?
Sure. So type 2 diabetes is a polygenetic condition, so there often are other family members. So you're born with a predisposition, but what triggers that predisposition, obviously, is the adoption of unhealthy lifestyle choices. So particularly weight gain, and that comes from consumption of food which are high in sugars and high in carbohydrates, which obviously get converted to sugars, which results in the disease happening. So poor diet, lack of exercise, a very sedentary kind of lifestyle adds to that, and those are the things that really trigger that predisposition.
Okay, so type 2 diabetes potentially can be curbed provided you are maintaining and leading a healthy lifestyle. It's not then necessarily anything to worry about, right?
I mean, this is so interesting. In the last sort of 5 years, we've come to appreciate that diabetic remission is actually a possibility.
Okay.
Studies have shown us if in the first couple of years after your diagnosis, if you can lose even just 10% of your body weight, that there's a 30% chance that you would be able to go into remission. So that means normal blood sugars without needing any treatment. And we should really be aiming for that in the largest majority of people who are newly diagnosed.
Can we just reiterate some of the cues for you to go and get yourself checked out? Because I think that it's something that I have to stress, because, you know, we speak about diabetes and all those stats, but there are many people living on this planet who don't know that they have diabetes. So just to give some of the pillars of when to go see a doctor, and also possibly the risks of actually not getting it treated properly and early. I think that's also very, very important. Not for scare tactics, but I think purely for education. So let's start off with some of the things that you'll notice about yourself that'll give you the cue to say, I need to go see a doctor.
Sure, and I mean, to your point, about half of people living in the world with diabetes don't know they have it. So if you come from a family history where there's multiple people in your family with diabetes, you've got to be concerned about yourself.
Okay.
If your body mass index, so that's your weight for your height, is above normal, so above 25, you're already at risk for developing diabetes.
Okay.
If you develop any symptoms which suggest that your blood sugar is elevated, you certainly have to get to a doctor quite quickly. And those would be passing a lot of urine, feeling very thirsty, and unexplained weight loss. So any of those things, diabetes has got to be a consideration, and you've got to go and be assessed.
And then treatment-wise, if you don't actually get yourself treated, what are some of the consequences there?
So we think about diabetes as a disease affecting blood vessels. On the one hand, small blood vessels, so eyes, back of the eyes, nerves and kidneys, and then the risk of heart disease, strokes and amputations on the large blood vessel side.
Scary to think about, but this is the reality we live in. Of course, Doctor, I can't thank you enough for schooling us, educating us, of course, and coming through and raising awareness for this right now. Of course, we're going to have one more conversation with you, and you, Mzansi, need to come through and ask us any questions that you might have, because we're going to be carrying on this discussion. So come through on our Facebook page right now to answer all these questions when it comes to diabetes, and we'll be wrapping things up just in a moment. So come through. The doc is here to serve us, and we'll see you in just a moment.
No two families are the same. We know this. We all have different needs and different health concerns. So when it comes to choosing illness insurance, it's highly advisable to partner with a financial advisor who can guide you on how to customize a plan that best suits you and your family. And here to tell us more about their illness insurance and how we can personalize it with benefits and add-ons to suit our family's needs is Priya Naika, the head of strategic retail marketing from Old Mutual. Priya, welcome back. Great to be connecting with you again.
Thanks, Graham.
I know we were joking the last time you were on the show about this not being the best topic. People just don't want to brace it because it's the stuff that we don't want to consider until it happens. Then we need to be covered. One word seems to be coming up a lot when I look at your illness insurance: modularity. What exactly does that mean to consumers?
So when I think modularity, I always say to people, think Lego blocks. It's just about building things the way you'd like them to be. And the severe illness that we offer is exactly that. It allows you to cover yourself for the things you need and the things you can most afford at that point in time, so that it's easy to get started. And as your life changes, maybe you get married and your circumstances change. As you have kids, you're then able to add the benefits that you'd like to, and of course when your affordability changes as well. So really modularity, Lego blocks.
I love that, and it's key. Something that got my attention: for women benefit and child illness benefit. How do these kind of modularities work into the bigger picture?
Well, we know that there are specific benefits or specific illnesses, that women face, and we see it often prevailing with people deciding to have kids later in life as well. There are certainly fertility challenges that are coming through, and we've also seen the emergence of phenomenon where kids are unfortunately hit with severe illnesses very young, birth defects as well, and parents have to cope with those different type of illnesses. Usually it's unexpected, and so having female-specific cover or child-specific cover that you can add on when it's necessary is absolutely crucial.
It might stand to reason, but why would you encourage customers out there to go for these two specific options?
Specifically when you are in a family situation, I think the integration of one's finances and lifestyle with your family is so obvious. So when a parent has an illness issue, the last thing you want is to worry about finances, because it does impact your family, your children, your spouse. And so you want to be prepared to maintain the lifestyle of your family as far as possible, but also be in a position to have the funds you need to fight the illness and to get back to normal living. And so it's essential that not only are you and your spouse covered, but especially your kids, or even if you're planning to have kids.
Because it does change. I've got 2 young kids, and I'm constantly, every year, we've got to kind of do an audit and a reassessment of what we are, where we are, what our needs are. So I love the fact that you can evolve as the family evolves. Old Mutual Rewards, you touched on this the last time you were here. I love the fact that you're being proactive about helping people manage their finances better. And it's not just about banking when we talk finances, but it's about having this kind of cover, and it's about making the right kind of choices. How can people earn points and get on the reward system, and who qualifies?
So as we said the last time, it is open to absolutely everybody. So you don't need to be an Old Mutual customer. Anyone can join, and it's completely free. So those are the 2 really great pieces. What I also want to touch on is the fact that you can earn points for simple activities like using a financial calculator, calculating how much you need for your family, your cover, retirement, your savings goals, and you earn points for all of that you can spend at some of the most popular stores and retail partners.
I love that. Feeding not just your healthy life, but a healthy lifestyle as well, making those right choices. Priya, thank you so much. I found this quite cheerful, actually. Normally, when you're talking about illness, I think obviously it's a dark cloud that we don't want to ever address, but it's something that we have to. It is vital. So please plan ahead and protect yourself and your family from those unexpected costs in the event of a severe illness. To find out more about Old Mutual's illness insurance, you can speak to your your financial advisor. And if you don't have an advisor, then you can simply call 0860 60 60 60 or visit any of Old Mutual's branches. Alternatively, you can just go online and visit oldmutual.co.za//illness for more information.
Old Mutual's illness insurance pays out a single amount of up to 6 million rand for whatever you and your family might need while you recover.
Sorry, Mom.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yes, Mzansi, welcome back. Of course, it's Tuesday and we're choosing to spend it with you, and we're choosing to give you all the health advice that we can. And this morning we've been chatting about diabetes with the doctor himself. An interesting fact, there are nearly 500 million people living with diabetes worldwide. Now, that is an incredibly high statistic for mostly what is a preventable disease. Now, we're wrapping up this conversation with this week's health discussion, and we've got endocrinologist Dr. Zane Stevens who's still with us, and he's taking your important questions that you asked on social media, and we are here to deliver. So we're going to get straight into it, right, Cole?
Indeed.
So much to cover right now. And first up, we've got something from Belinda Francis, is that correct?
Indeed. So Belinda Francis would like to ask you, Doc, being a diabetic, I have ensured to take extra care. I eat 5 small meals, take my medication on time, drink lots of water, also only 1 fruit a day. What I would like to know is, why does the blood clot and veins thin out eventually, leading to heart problems?
Sounds like it's a good diet though, right?
Yeah, I mean, well done, Belinda. I mean, I think she's doing all the right things.
Yes.
I think what she's referring to is the fact that, unfortunately, living with diabetes still puts you at risk of these vascular complications.
Yes.
And I think the most important thing is that even on treatment, you've got to have regular checkups, because whatever treatment you may be on today might not be sufficient to control your blood sugar kind of 6 months down the line or a year down the line. So there's a special test we do, which is called the HbA1c test, which gives us an idea about your average blood sugar over the previous 3 months. And everybody's got an individual target for this, which helps us to prevent complications. So even if you're on treatment, you're doing all the right things, you've got to be tested to ensure that your levels are adequately controlled, and that's how you're going to prevent those complications.
So when you have it, it's almost like a good idea to kind of calibrate as often as possible, recalibrate, check in, see where your levels are at, and then continue with the beautiful system that you are already implementing.
Correct.
I like that.
Thank you, Belinda, for giving us that question. Of course, there's a couple more that have come through. Let's go to the next one. And this one comes from Drisha, saying, my son is 12, was diagnosed at 5 years old. Is the pump better than normal insulin shots? Is it accurate in its readings?
So Drisha's son obviously has type 1 diabetes, and that means he's got to be on insulin. And an insulin pump is just a different way of delivering the insulin. And the pump may be better than injections in certain situations, specifically if somebody living with type 1 is prone to really low sugars, hypos we call them.
Okay.
And that way the pump technology, because it comes with really interesting sensing technology that can sort of stop insulin when the sugar is predicted to go low, can be a really useful tool. But having said that, many people can be super well controlled with multiple daily injections of insulin. So it's not an absolute must, but it can be helpful.
What is the pump exactly? Is it something that is ingested? Is it something...
No, so it's a little device that the person wears, usually on their abdomen.
Yeah.
And it's got a little cannula, and this infuses insulin on a continuous basis.
Okay.
Together with that, you wear a little sensor which measures your blood glucose, and those two talk to each other so that it regulates the blood glucose. And it's getting better and better. It's eventually going to be like an artificial pancreas. We're not quite there yet, but the technology is really amazing.
Pretty crazy what tech can do these days.
Really
it's
is
assisting
amazing.
the body's organs and functions. That is insane. I know we've got so many more questions coming through. Another one here. This one is from Gail Barron saying, "Hey family, hey Gail. I would just like to know why the diabetic meds I was put on makes me dizzy. I was diagnosed 3 months ago with diabetes and was given metformin to take, but I'm constantly dizzy when using the meds to a point where I have to lay down. My next hospital appointment is only in Jan. I would appreciate any advice. Until then, thank you very much."
Sure, Gail, I'm sorry to hear that. So the medication you're referring to is metformin. So this is our usual first-line treatment because this helps the body respond to its insulin better. It's an insulin sensitizer. So unfortunately, as with all medication, they may come with complications, and so if that one's not working for you, I think, unfortunately, Gail, you're going to have to speak to your doctor about alternatives, because the most important thing is not just to stop your treatment and allow the sugars to be high. That's going to lead to complications. So I think in this case, it's an opportunity to check in earlier with your doctor and try and see if there's an alternative to that therapy for you.
All right.
You know, education is such a key here, and I think you've given us all the equipment we need to actually face this and make sure that we do the whole beating in diabetes and make sure that we can manage it properly. So, Dr. Zane Stevens, thank you so much for all of the fantastic advice. For anybody who is living with this disease, I think you've given them a lot of solace and calm, and I want to thank you for that.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Dr. Zane Stevens, World Diabetes Day, and of course, if you are one of those individuals with diabetes, education and information, credible information, is what's going to get you through. And don't worry, we are holding your hand on your Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Well, it certainly is crunch time for many students across the country as they prep and study for exams with the aim to hit that 100% mark. We all want that. And as we offer our 100% support as parents during this crucial time, we're about to show you a brain-boosting snack idea that perfectly pairs with a refreshing glass of 100% goodness from the Clover Crush juice. And Pagor!
Pagor!
After today's show, can that be done?
No, I'm going to do it often. It's just too much fun. I'm sorry, parkour, it needs a place in the studio. We love it, and we love healthy food.
We do.
And I feel like we've been ingenious with the healthy food that we've been creating today because it's been brimming full with flavor. There's beautiful texture here. I absolutely love a sweet potato chip, and we are leveling
We
up,
are. It's going to be so spicy. We also have a beautiful dip to pair with it. But what was your go-to meal as a student?
Probably 2-minute noodles.
2 minutes. You loved all 2-minute noodles.
I still do. I still absolutely love it. And my boy, we absolutely love our 2-minute noodles. But this is, look, this is a little more fancy, okay?
Yeah, sweet potato fries for students. That is probably
so
your birthday.
Slow burn energy. It's just really a good snack, and it's going to be satisfying as well. And sometimes that's what you need. When you're studying, you just need something that just kind of gives you that little kick. And I think this will actually pair perfectly. The orange notes of the orange juice and the sweet potato flavors, beautiful. And we're going to add a bit of spice to them. So you might need something to just cool you down a little bit. So I'm going to have a sip. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. 100%. This is going to be so good for us. But the thing is, I've become such a lazy chef these days because I would buy these
as chips. Yeah, I know. I don't think I've ever cut my own
sweet potato
fries, and it's quite a daunting
task. That's why I let you do that.
Sweet potatoes have the most unnaturally asymmetrical shape. They are as...
Are you going to get a straight line? Are you going to get a skewed chip? You never know. Okay, so maybe I'll start with the dip as well while you're cutting into that.
You don't want them to be too big. You want them to be nice and small so they can crisp up, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm trying to measure
So for the dip as well, we're going to be using some yogurt, and that's going to go into our blender. And then to make it nice and creamy, we have some Avo.
Oh,
that's going to be part of it. I love Avo. In my smoothies, I just pop it in there. And then a half Avo. Ooh, nice.
Okay, that's looking good. And this really is, it's up to you to create the size that you think would work
Definitely.
best.
If you're a chunky sweet potato fry person, or
and we're leaving the skin on. The skin is healthy. It's going to crisp up beautifully. Just keep it on, man.
And then we have some cumin going in here as well. Put a little bit of cumin, salt and pepper, and then some lime juice and lime zest is also going in over here. Can be nice and fresh, and I'm going to throw all of that in.
Almost done here.
Are you almost done there?
Beautiful. Look, quite rustic, but I think these are actually going to do perfectly.
Just give it a nice little shake over there.
Look, you are aware it's a blender that you can just like.
I know, but because everything is stuck on the top.
I play. Okay, while you get that going, I'm going to level up the volume. So what we're doing here, we've got some cornstarch. And the cornstarch is going to obviously help provide that beautiful coating. We've got some salt and pepper. Perfectly measured out. We've got some beautiful paprika.
Ooh,
I would go
yummy,
with
that
smoked
flavor.
paprika. In fact, the smoked paprika and the sweetness of the sweet potato, absolutely beautiful. Then we've got some
garlic powder. Am I right?
You are.
Yay.
I was like, yeast? What is it? And it's garlic powder, and we're loving our garlic powder. It's been a thing at the moment.
It is. Garlic is...
Beautiful. Try a bit of that if you're making like a toasted cheese or something. A little bit of garlic powder in. Magic.
Even on the egg.
And then we've got some beautiful smoked chili flakes. So we have injected the smokiness.
And that's going to be...
This is going to form an absolutely beautiful coating. If you're going to touch it with your hands, though, don't touch your face or your eyes.
Or do it. Do it.
A generous plug of oil. And then we're just going to pop these guys in there. Okay, sorry, you didn't make the cut.
Oh, I'm
sorry, guy.
But what happened to this one over here?
It's just not symmetrical. And then you want to try and get as much of that coating all over. And I'm sorry, yes, you can use tongs if you want, but I would just get stuck in with your hand.
Dirty.
Because you want it to be nice and liberal. And the oil obviously becomes a lovely binding agent for the coating, but it's going to help those extremities kind of really crisp up. And that looks beautiful already. And we've got our baking tray or oven tray, and we're just going to...
Or if you're like me and you have an air fryer, you can pop that baby for 15 minutes. I tell everybody...
Has the air fryer changed your life?
It has completely changed my life. I go around and tell everybody I'm an air fryer mom now. I'm like, hey, I'm an air fryer. I just need to get it nice and smooth as well.
Yeah, I'm of two minds when it comes to a nice healthy dip like that. Sometimes a bit chunky and a bit kind of rustic, as we say. I think it's quite cool. But ultimately, you want that beautiful. Oh, how gorgeous does that look?
Smells so good. That
lovely. And there you've got some nice acidity between the yogurt and the lime and the zest to really kind of counterbalance the sweet potato smokiness. That goes into the oven. Just keep an eye on it. I would reckon about 20 minutes or so, but just keep an eye. You want it's crisped up nicely. You want the kind of nice, soft interior to get like that, to be nice and mushy and soft, and then the outside is going to be nice and crunchy and delicious. Beautiful, beautiful.
There you have it. And of
and
course, we know with 100% goodness from Crush, you get 100% fruity, tasty goodness in a glass. And it is, again, the perfect study partner to offer a dose of refreshing goodness. Various studies shows that this is the perfect snack for all our students. So go out there. You're going to ace all the exams. You are going to be brilliant.
You've got this, guys. You've got this. And you can find this recipe right now on expressoshow.com. Go and make it for your lunch today.
You know that sad feeling when something good is coming to an end?
100%. But then we could always open another Crush.
100%. 100% fresh, 100% goodness.
Made with love by Clover. Oh, you can make my day.
hungry?
With bags. My dad has a certain way of doing things.
Dad, hoe gaan dit by die werk?
Our Monati connects the family with unlimited home fiber from $3.99 per month.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
It's our favorite time of the show, of the week, of the year, where we get to exorcise the demons and leave nothing out on this floor, where we have a good sing-along, and hopefully you're going to sing along with us. We've got the 5 Drive team here. Bibi Kins, Bibi, you're going to lead this one. Hey, Jude.
Yo.
That was the song we were going to do, then it was just impossibly difficult, so we didn't do that. Nadia, you're going to be the engine room of this, okay? You're going to need to help us keep a tone. And then, Nick, you're going to sing above our heads.
Okay.
Now, guys,
got it.
we are going to be doing an absolute classic, a modern classic, if you will. You might have linked to this at some point on air. Britney Spears. Oops, I Did It Again.
Yes.
Okay, probably in a register that none of us can sing.
Good.
Which makes this absolutely perfect. Please sing along at home. We're going to put the words up on Scream. Are you on Scream? He says, on Scream. Are you ready to belt it?
No.
Yes, it's only one rule, eh? Only one rule, that you must never be ready, and you've got to give it everything. Okay, leave nothing out on this floor, please.
Right.
If you want to roll around, you can do that. Beat your chest, you can do that. All right, Mr. DJ, take it away, sir. Lots of yes. Yeah. Nice.
I think I did it again. I made you believe we're more than just friends. Oh baby, it seems like a crush, but it doesn't mean that I'm serious.
That wasn't impossible.
Bring it back. To lose all my senses. That's just so typically me. Oh baby, oops, I did it again. I played with your heart, got lost in the game. Oh baby, oops, you think I'm in love?
Hell no.
Innocent from above. I'm not that innocent.
See my
What is this? I'm dreaming away, wishing that you safely I cry watching the days. Can't see I'm a fool.
In so many ways.
I don't think the song always went like lose all my senses. That's just so typically me. Oh baby, oops, I did it again. I played with your heart, got lost in the game. Oh baby, oops, you think I'm in love? I'm sent from above. I'm not that innocent.
Wow, that was terrible.
Oh yeah.
I think football we were ahead.
Yeah.
All aboard! Britney,
Before you go,
there's something I want you to have.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Wait a minute.
Isn't this?
Yeah, it is. I thought you were thinking that. Well, baby, I went down and got it.
Oops, I did it again. Got lost in the game. Oh, baby, oops, you think I'm in love?
Big finish.
I'm not that innocent.
Keep going.
I did it again. I played with your heart, got lost in the game. Oh baby, oops, you think I'm in love? I'm sent from above. I'm not that innocent. I did it again.
That might be on loop.
I played with your heart, got lost in the game.
Wrap it up, Brittany.
Oh baby, oops, you think I'm in love? I'm sent from above. I'm not that innocent.
Boom!
Oh, that's a long song. I remember.
She did it many times.
Goosebumps.
Nothing beats being free for breakfast with the team or having family brunches for life as it used to be. Made with love by Clover.
Another feel-good production.